My name is Caleb. I'm 38 years old, and I've served in the U.S. Army for nearly 2 decades. I've seen things most people couldn't stomach, spent sleepless nights in the desert, and lost brothers in arms who meant more to me than blood. Through it all, the one person I believed would always be there waiting for me was my wife, Heather. We met when I was 21 and stationed near Fort Bragg. She worked at a local bookstore, had that sarcastic wit that disarmed me, and those soft green eyes that made me forget the world. We built our life slowly. A small house in Fayetteville, 2 kids, and Sunday dinners that felt like home even when nothing else did. But there was one other person always in our orbit, Derek, my best friend since high school. We enlisted together, trained together, and when I went overseas, he was the guy I asked to look after my family. I trusted Derek like a brother. He was at our wedding. He was the godfather to our oldest son, and when I deployed again to Kuwait for 9 months, it was Derek who promised, "Don't worry, I got him." And I believed him. I should have known something was wrong from the way Heather hesitated before mentioning him in our calls, or how she'd say, "Derek stopped by to help with the faucet," and then quickly change the subject. But I brushed it off. I was thousands of miles away, and trust was the only thing holding me together. I never imagined that while I was sleeping on sandbags and dodging mortar fire, the 2 people I trusted most were building something behind my back. I came home on leave expecting warmth, peace, maybe a barbecue with old friends. But the first thing I noticed was that Derek wasn't there. He always was. That absence, that silence, it screamed louder than any battlefield. I thought I was paranoid, that maybe war had made me see ghosts, but the truth was darker than I could ever imagine.
From the moment I stepped foot back in our house, something felt off. Heather smiled like she always did, hugged me tight, even cried when she saw me, but it felt rehearsed, too polished. The way she kept her distance in bed the first few nights, she said it was just the stress, the kids, needing time. I believed her. I wanted to believe her. The woman I fought so hard to come back to couldn't possibly be hiding something from me, not her. But then there were the details. Her phone never left her hand. She'd suddenly start locking it, something she'd never done before. When I asked, she said, "It's just a work thing, client confidentiality." I let it slide. Then our son, Ben, 8 years old, mentioned something strange one night. "Uncle Derek brought us pizza last week and stayed really late. I think he even slept over." My stomach dropped. I asked Heather about it. She laughed it off. "He passed out on the couch watching a movie with the kids. You know Derek." Yeah, I knew him. Or at least I thought I did. But something didn't feel right. I started noticing patterns. Derek's visits weren't random. They happened most when I wasn't expected to FaceTime. He wasn't around when I came back, but there were signs he had been. His cologne in the guest bathroom. A beer I knew only he drank, left half full in the garage fridge. One afternoon, I went to pick up a package from the porch and caught the tail end of a conversation Heather was having on speakerphone. She didn't realize I was back inside. All I heard was her voice, low, almost trembling, say, "You can't just show up anymore. He's home now." I stood frozen. I didn't hear the other voice, but I didn't need to. Everything clicked. Every lie, every look, every avoidance. It wasn't paranoia. It wasn't combat stress. It was betrayal. Real, sharp, and breathing in my own home. But instead of confronting her that night, I waited. I needed proof. I needed to know for sure. Because if I was right, if she really had done what I feared, then nothing would ever be the same again.
The next few days felt like walking a tightrope above fire. I acted normal, maybe too normal.
I kissed Heather goodnight, played with the kids, even invited Derek over for beers like old times. I wanted to watch them, observe, test their reactions. Heather looked uneasy the whole time. Derek, he couldn't even make eye contact with me. That told me everything. But I still needed more. I needed undeniable truth. So I set up a camera, just one, hidden inside an old router casing on the bookshelf in the living room, pointed right at the couch. It had motion detection and Wi-Fi upload. If anything happened, I'd know. I felt sick doing it, like I was betraying her too. But deep down, I think I already knew what I'd find. 3 days later, it happened. I was at the base for a mandatory briefing. My phone buzzed mid-meeting. A notification from the camera app, motion detected. I opened it, trying to stay calm. What I saw shattered me. Heather was on the couch, wearing a shirt that wasn't mine. She looked nervous at first, kept glancing toward the door like she was expecting someone. Then Derek walked in, bold as ever, holding a six-pack, and smiling like this was his house, too. They didn't speak much, just kissed, like they'd done it 100 times, like this was routine. His hands were all over her. She pulled him into her, straddled him, laughing into his neck like she used to laugh with me. It wasn't just sex. It was intimacy. I stared at the screen, frozen. Around me, people were talking, taking notes, business as usual. Meanwhile, my entire marriage was collapsing in real time. I left the meeting midway. Drove home so fast I don't remember the turns. I didn't burst through the door. I didn't scream. I didn't even confront them. I just stood outside the house in my truck, shaking. My heart was pounding in my throat. How long? How many times? Why him? He was my best friend, my brother in arms. I had trusted him with my life, and he was sleeping with my wife. That night, I watched the footage over and over until I couldn't feel anymore. Heather came home, kissed me like always, and I pretended everything was fine. But it wasn't. Something inside me had snapped. The truth was out, and I couldn't unknow it. I didn't sleep that night. Just laid there in the dark, with Heather breathing softly beside me, like everything was normal, like my heart wasn't cracking open in slow motion. I kept hearing Derek's laugh in my head, kept seeing Heather's hands on his body, her eyes closed like she was exactly where she wanted to be. It was torture. But I wasn't ready to explode yet. I needed to choose how this would end. Because if I didn't control that part, I'd lose myself completely. The next day, I told Heather I had to leave town for a short mission. A lie. Instead, I drove to a small cabin a few hours out. Quiet, no neighbors, just me, my thoughts, and the plan forming in my head. I spent that time writing a letter. Not just a goodbye, not just a confrontation, a mirror. Something that would show her exactly what she did without screaming. I included screenshots from the video. I printed one frame, her on top of Derek, her mouth on his neck. I wrote on it in red marker, "I trusted you." I came home 2 days later. Heather was at the kitchen table, scrolling her phone, acting like the perfect wife. I sat across from her, calm, steady. I slid the envelope across the table. "What's this?" she asked, raising an eyebrow. "Open it," I said. She did. I watched her face shift. Confusion, then horror, then panic. "Where did you get this?" she asked, voice shaking.
I saw everything, Heather. I saw you. I saw Derek in my house, on my couch, under the same roof our kids sleep. She stood up. It wasn't like that. Don't, I snapped, my voice low and final. Don't insult me by pretending this wasn't real. I was there. I watched it unfold like a stranger watching someone else's life implode. She sat back down, defeated, her hands trembling. I didn't mean for it to happen. We were both lonely and lonely. I was deployed, Heather, serving, risking my life, and you were lonely. So you chose him, my best friend? She started crying. He was there. He listened. He understood. That sentence burned through my spine. Because I wasn't there. I wasn't home to listen. I wasn't home to protect. And that's what she'd clung to, the absence. She used it to justify everything. I stood up slowly, looking down at the woman I once thought would be the mother of my children until the day I died. I'm not going to scream. I'm not going to hit anything. But I am going to leave. And I'm taking the kids. Her eyes widened. You can't. I can. And I will. I have everything I need. Evidence, timeline. I already spoke to a lawyer. The only thing left is for you to live in the bed you made. She broke, fell to the floor, sobbing. I didn't feel sorry. I didn't feel anything. Just tired. Hollow. Like my soul had gone somewhere I couldn't reach. I left that night, took the kids to my sister's, slept on a couch, finally at peace. Not because things were better, but because I had stopped living a lie.
The weeks that followed felt like walking through fire. I moved into a small rental 2 towns over, just me and the kids. They didn't fully understand what happened. I kept it that way. Told them Mom and Dad needed time apart, but I could see the questions building in their eyes, especially my oldest. I got them up for school, packed lunches, read bedtime stories with a smile that didn't quite reach my eyes. And every night after they fell asleep, I sat on the porch and let the silence eat me alive. Heather tried to call, texted me long, rambling apologies, begged me to come back, swore it was a mistake, said she still loved me. I didn't respond, not once. I saw Derek one more time, from a distance. He was pumping gas on the other side of town. Our eyes met. He looked like hell. I didn't nod, didn't speak, just stared until he looked away, shame smeared across his face like dirt that wouldn't wash off. Word got around fast. Our friends chose sides. Most of them chose mine. Her family reached out once, asked if I could forgive her. I told them, forgiveness isn't something I owe. It's something she lost the right to ask for. I started therapy. It felt weird at first, talking to a stranger about things I hadn't even told my brothers in arms. But it helped. Slowly, the anger turned into reflection. The pain turned into lessons. I wasn't perfect. I'd been absent. The military didn't just take me away physically, it took pieces of me emotionally. And maybe, somewhere along the way, Heather stopped being my partner and started being someone I assumed would always wait. But even with that truth, I never asked to be betrayed. I never gave permission to be broken like that. One night, months later, my daughter asked me if I missed Mommy. I told her the truth. Sometimes. But I miss who she used to be, not who she became. And that was it. The core of everything. I wasn't mourning a wife. I was mourning a ghost of her. A version that died the day she let my best friend touch her. I rebuilt from there, brick by emotional brick. And every day I wake up and look in the mirror, I see a man who went to war in more ways than one, and came back scarred, but standing.